Back from the dead. Back from the dead. Back from the dead. Hello. What is going on, Ghost Girl Diaries fam? It is yours truly, Krystal, Leandra. And tonight we are doing a paranormal podcast for those of you that are brave enough to join the circle. I have with me Kat tonight. It's going to be a really good night. Let me know how audio is doing before we get too far into the podcast. Should be good to go. We ran a mic check beforehand, but always let me know in the comments below. And you can always find all of our social media if you head to ghostgirldiaries.com. Amazing. We took a break off from podcast last week. This week's going to be a good one. I have Kat in with me, and we're going to be chatting about a new cult docu-series that's out on Hulu and Peacock. And only 2 episodes have dropped so far, so this is going to get good. And Kat and I have both actually Elfie really started this conversation, and we have a lot to cover, so it's time to jump in. I'm going to bring in my sidekick, Kat Cormier.
Hello.
How have you been? How was your week off, boo?
It was good, but it was full of work because of the show that I had this past weekend, which is why we took a day off. So
how was it? Let's talk about that. How was the show? You've been doing a show, as you guys know, Kat is a professionally trained opera singer. She studied music in college. She has a degree in music, and you haven't really been involved in the music scene for a hot minute. And you were like, all right, it's time to get back into it. You took this little side gig up in New Hampshire. You got to run an actual musical performance, a stage performance, a theater performance. Tell what was going on. Last 6 weeks of your life have been crazy.
It's been nuts, especially being thrown back into that world since it has been a hot minute. But I was contracted to music direct Little Shop of Horrors at, surprisingly enough, my old high school where I really started, my ground roots in theater. So it felt really good to be back, had a little nostalgic moment there, and give some theater and music knowledge to the students that were there, or are there. So yeah, I'm very happy with how it went. It turned out great. I had to break out my baton to conduct a live pit band. Thank you to my pit band members if you're watching. Yeah. Appreciate you.
That's so bad. Wait, guys, she directed a pit of instrumentalists. Okay, she was the orchestrator here, literally. Yeah. Yeah. What do you call what's the wand called again? What is it called?
The baton.
It's called a baton, and it's an official instrument. You had to order one to actually do the conducting thing.
It's actually really funny. So, my dad, both of my parents are opera singers, and my father is more of a conductor than he is a singer. But he was telling me about batons because it's been a hot minute since I've conducted, and I've forgotten some things. So I definitely wanted to make sure I touched base with him. And he told me that the bigger the orchestra, so if I had a bigger orchestra than just a 5-piece pit, the baton wand would actually be longer.
Wow.
In order for everybody to see you. So I found that really interesting. I got a really nice size wand. It was great. So
and if someone's bad, you can just whop them on the head, whop.
Yeah, I know. I had to get 2 because I can break them. They will break. You slam on the stand to get everyone to be quiet for a minute.
I was dying because I wish I would have been there to see Kat. I would have totally just filmed her for TikTok and everything. I was literally debating going up there a week ago. I was should I just fly in last minute? Because it would have been so fun to watch.
I would love to see myself conduct with no music. You can't hear the music. just see my arms just flailing the whole show. It'd be great.
Kat, I love Kat because, you know, Kat and I mean, we do have the singing thing in common, but like she took it to a whole nother level, you know, but her parents were, or are famous opera singers in Europe. They traveled all over Europe. They were on stage in some of the most beautiful theaters you can imagine in Europe. And Kat and her brother actually both got the gift of opera singing. Her brother doesn't really do it as much anymore though, right?
No, it burnt. We burnt him out.
Yeah,
it stuck with me. But yeah, I was very grateful to have those opportunities. I spent a lot of time in Europe as a kid, in Germany, Vienna as well. Vienna, Austria was beautiful.
So fun.
And I'll never forget that.
I love this part of Kat because like she's so cultured, and I think that's why her and I get along so well because we've done similar things, but on like totally opposite spectrums. And I just think that's probably why you fell into production so easily is you get the fame part because your parents were in it. You've been in it. Like, it's just, you grew up even when I didn't grow into that. That is something I had to create, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's true. I feel like we always have interesting stories to tell each other too. Yeah. Even after 4 years, I feel like there's so many like new stories we tell each other from our own experiences.
Yeah, our lives are horribly parallel. Horribly parallel. It's bad.
Oh my God, that's for another stream. Okay? Yeah,
it's true. So, well, let's catch up on a few things. First of all, Destination Fear did get re-signed, which is interesting. I'm happy for them. I'm thoroughly happy for them. I haven't watched the new season though, so if anyone asks me questions on it, I cannot answer it. A lot of people were asking me about the new Ghost Adventures. They're doing something where Zach's like streaming, or did you see this this trailer?
Yeah, House Call. I think it's called House Calls or something. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. I have not had time to really watch anything, but people are wanting my opinion on it. I will give it to you when I have time to sit down and watch it. I haven't really been. Look, dude. I'm gonna put my energy into Ghost Girl Diaries right now because we have hit 50K on TikTok. And the opportunities that it is bringing in, first of all, our podcast numbers are soaring higher than they ever have. Last month, our podcast numbers went up more than they ever have. We have more subscribers than we've ever had in 30-day period. And we are actually now getting contacted by haunted locations all over the United States wanting us to come film.
So exciting. It's so exciting.
Yeah, to say I've been busy is a understatement. I've been just doing meetings and we're actually scheduling a location for June. Kat will be flying back West Coast again because she loves West Coast. I feel like I need to get out there at some point, like for God's sake, like Jesus. You know?
You need to come over here.
I know, it's so weird. I think like because when people hear that I'm from Colorado and then I'm in Vegas, automatically like West Coast locations are like, oh, let's call Krystal. She's right there, you know. And I'm like, but Kat wants me in Salem, like really, really badly, you know. So yeah, we'll get it. We'll get out East Coast at some point. But yeah, anyway, amazing things are happening right now for Ghost Girl Diaries, and I'm very humbled by the way, you know, it's just crazy because you look at my story from, you know, the bad things, right? Like YouTube, the first YouTube channel, like taking a tank after Logan Paul. And then, that was traumatic. Like literally that was traumatic. Like, I'm going to be honest, I'm still having burnout issues from YouTube. Like I have all these plans to shoot content for YouTube, right? And I'm wanting to shoot short videos, like under 20 minutes, 10-minute videos. And that's so easy to do. And I cannot bring myself to do it. And I think I'm just still burnt out from like that channel tanking. You know what I mean? But like from that channel tanking to trying to switch to Twitch, to creating a podcast from nothing, to releasing a book, to literally my mom getting murdered, to now all of these amazing things are happening. I'm just very grateful. I'm blessed and I'm grateful, and I owe it to the Ghost Girl Diaries fans. I know that we have a ton of new fans that are coming in now, and we love you guys. You're now part of the Ghost Girl Army. I think that's going to be some new merch that I'm going to drop. But, you know, my OG fans, like I know you guys have been the ones that have carried me until now. And I just want you to know you know, if you guys wouldn't have been there pushing me through all of the muck, you know, like the first bad thing that happened was that the YouTube channel tanked. You guys are messaging me. It doesn't matter. You have to keep going. If you guys wouldn't have been there to keep pushing me, I would not be here right now. Seriously. Like hearing from you guys, even if it's like a DM or a message on, you know, social media, I see it, or Kat sees it and she sends it to me, you know, but like knowing that you guys still want to see my content, even when I'm at like my lowest of low, and it's literally pushed me to now to where everything's going like really good again. Like, wow. Thank you guys. Like none of us would be here right now if it weren't for the fans. I give it all my credit to my fans 100%. And, you know, it makes me want to cry, and I'm not going to, because today I accidentally wiped one of my eyebrows off when I was out in public. Because it's so hot. Yes, I'm serious. It's so hot in Vegas. It's like, because it's summer and like it gets so, it's like an oven heat, you know? And like I looked in the mirror, I went to a restaurant and then I went shopping, and I looked in the mirror and like half of my brow was like just gone. It was so bad. So anyway, melty hot, you know what I mean? So anyway, we're here. Any other like catch up news that we want to kind of chat about that you can think of? There was another thing, but I totally brain farted it. I can't remember what it was. It was TikTok's amazing, like 50K followers. It's growing. We're literally getting thousands of people per day. It's amazing. Social media might be a little bit quiet though for the next week. I'm having surgery again. Damn it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. I've been having these like little leg surgeries for the past couple of years for hereditary purposes, and like hereditary like varicose vein issues called like deep vein thrombosis, and because it like causes you to like hobble around like you're a 90-year-old person, like you're like limping, you know, and everything's been great. We thought we were done, and I had like kind of an emergency situation happen, so I'm gonna go in for hopefully one last surgery, fingers crossed, next week. And so I'm just in pain right now, so it's just not really fun I don't want to be like smiling and shooting content. I'm just sitting like, ow, I mean, hurting the whole time, you know. But
you're also human, you know.
It's true. I'm human. Otherwise, I don't know. Oh, Katrina also finished releasing parts of her documentary on Katrina Weidman. Weidman. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't finished watching that either. I know some people have been asking me questions on that. We'll get there, I promise. Yeah. Now, today, though, is some mofo tea. Okay, I'm going to try not to cuss because we got approved for ad revenue on the podcast. Oh, my God.
I'm so excited.
You guys,
there's
it's
so
like,
many good things
I
happening.
can't believe, I'm going to attribute it to this person right here, my mother. It's a picture of my mother. She's in heaven right now. And she's watching over me. I know it because she's been making all these amazing things happen, and I'm just blessed. Even though I miss her to death, I am still traumatized by that. It's never going to go away. I miss her. She's my best friend. Anyway, no crying.
No crying.
There was a documentary that was released, and I didn't hear about it. You didn't hear about it. Elfie heard about it.
Yeah, Elfie, group chat's been lit.
Oh, you know what? Like, there's some days I wish people could see our group chat because I feel like we have the coolest group chat ever. You know what I mean? Like, if you were into paranormal or paranormal investigator, like, you would be so jealous to be in our chat sometimes, okay? Because, like, and all three of us get really into it some days. We're, like, blowing up group chat. But, you know, Elfie is our FBI private detective. You know what I mean? She does our history, and she is amazing when it comes to that. And hi, Elfie, we love you. She messaged us, and she's like, guys, there's this like cult documentary coming out. Well, okay, I do want to just back the truck up for a minute, right?
Back it up.
Teal Swan. Okay, I know her not because I'm necessarily a fan, but I know her because she's a huge YouTuber. She has millions of followers on YouTube, right? Millions of subscribers. I did know her as being this like spiritualist, like, I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched her YouTube per se, but I have seen like micro sound bites, whether that be on TikTok or like hearing it through other people. And I'll be honest, when I first heard of Teal Swan, I actually agree with some of the things she says. I do.
Same.
I do believe she is a light worker. I do believe she's an ascended starseed. I do believe she's an ascended being that gets information from her spirit guides or whoever she assumes it to be. However, what I did not know was there's like an extreme like dark side to this whole thing. I had no idea. I literally thought she was just a YouTuber and that was it. Is that what you thought?
Mm-hmm. And she like little TikTok clips too.
Yes.
She's had a few TikTok clips go pretty viral.
Yeah, she has 1 million well, it's like I think it's 700 some thousand people following her on TikTok. So like, and I've seen some of those too. But once again, beyond that, I didn't think anything of it, right? Like nothing.
No, same.
And so Elfie messages us last week. And she's like blowing up chat, like, oh my God, like we should do a stream about this. Like, I've got to hear about this. And she's like, they're calling Teal Swan a cult. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real right now. Okay. I haven't, researched her obviously to this extent. I've only seen her on the surface, as have you, right, Kat? Same thing.
Yep.
So the first thought in my head when someone says they're going to call a spiritualist a cult is, Kat said it perfectly in group chat. I assume the people that are calling her out are probably from like some religious organization, like old white people from a Catholic organization that don't want New Age and spiritualism to be like preached. I kind of said the same thing. I was like, I don't think it's a cult. I assume it to be, I think that it's just people don't want the New Age, like the woke, millennials and Generation Z are like the woke generations that like are no longer conforming to society and especially organized religion. So immediately I was like not interested in it. I was like, nope, it's probably just fake. And I sat down one night and I started researching it because I was like, because then Elfie, she gets really into her research, guys. She's sending us, she's like, no, I think it's a cult. She's like, you've got to see this, like something's wrong. And I'm like, what is going on here? So long story short, Kat and I we weren't really going to do this topic this week. Because you and I were completely convinced it was not a cult.
Yeah, it's hard with spiritual like leaders because I feel like, I mean, and this can go into a different stream too, but I feel like it's the same thing with like the craft. You know what I mean? Like craft practice, like being a witch.
Witchcraft,
It can be really demonized. It can be really just like, thrown out there as something like crazy when it's not. It's all up to the practitioner. It's all up to the person. But there's something off.
And once again,
off with this.
I'm going to say that I have seen clips of Teal Swan that I agree with what she's saying. She talks about not everything. I don't think you should ever agree with a spiritualist. Do you? I mean, like that goes for like Catholic. Christianity doesn't matter. Buddha isn't like you should never fully agree. Like you should always question a spiritualist, and it's okay to have opinions outside of that religion or person. So I'm going to be honest, I don't agree with everything Teal has said, but I have heard some things about like connecting with your guides and the other side, and that stuff I'm like, I really resonate with that. So I agree. Now, the part that I did not know was she reminds me of Charles Manson. Seriously.
Same. Literally, especially after watching it.
Okay. Like, there's a lot to unpack here, guys. So I hope that you can follow us because there's a lot to unpack. Jessica says, I don't think it's a cult. Oh, girl. Okay, whatever, I'm not trying to swoon anybody. You can believe what you think, but woo! Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, Heaven's Gate meets Charles Manson to me is sort of where I'm at with this.
Yeah, something's weird. Something's really weird. I've always had a kind of off vibe with her, but didn't really get into it because I just assumed the same as Krystal, honestly. And then you start digging and doing the research, and there's something weird. Well, and
by the way, this is an ongoing investigation for Elfie. She's
we were still getting texts right before.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have another stream on this because Elfie is like finding so much information on this. It's crazy. This is wild. A show. This is a docu-series, so it's a documentary show. And there's 2 parts that have been released. First of all, let's talk about the like filming aspect of it. I think it's filmed beautifully.
I think so too. It's really well done. Mm-hmm. It is. Definitely getting the message across, that's for sure.
It is. It's It's on Hulu and Peacock, so if you have Hulu, you can get it on there. And honestly, there's 2 episodes that have been released so far. Okay, here's how I'm going to let you go after me. I was questionable after the first one, okay? I was kind of like, I could see where people could find it culty. But then the second one, it shot me over the cliff. The second episode.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, this is a cult, 100%. Like, and we're going to talk about this. Well, how did you feel about it?
I felt a lot of things. And I feel that when it comes to just like, organized religion in itself, I get on my soapbox and people know how I get about that. But I think what really got me in the first episode was her talking about how she wants to be more influential than the Pope.
Yikes. Yeah.
And that just really irked me a lot outside of what my own personal opinions are. And like everything we're talking about today is strictly opinion. Like, it's not here to trigger anything.
Well, no, it's not necessarily opinion. This is based on the documentary that we're seeing and research that we've done behind it. So it's not just like we're pulling this out of our butt.
Not just.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
just opinion, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack here, and we're going to bounce all over the place, so just try to pay attention because this is a lot.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot we're going to throw.
Okay, the deep end. So it's about Teal Swan. Essentially, she is. I feel like the videos that I've seen of her, where I quote agree with what she says, are usually her live sessions. Her like when she's on stage. When they had video footage and like photo footage of her YouTube channel, I could not help. So it's basically her standing in front of a green screen with like this paradise, like heaven behind her, and to me, I'd never seen it before, and the first image I got in my head was the guy that is the older gentleman that led Heaven's Gate, the cult Heaven's Gate. He would release videos that looked similar. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. Mm-hmm.
So
it's creepy.
That freaked me out a little bit because I was like, yikes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, it was filmed over a matter of 3 years. And there has been statements released from Teal, okay, that I'll say. And Teal's basically saying that she wasn't expecting them to put the documentary together on an opposing view, okay? The reason this documentary was shot, okay, is because she does a therapy session. You see my finger air quotes? She does a spiritual therapy session where she forces people to, well, she doesn't force you to, but like you're agreeing to it. She sits with you while you think about your own suicide. And essentially what happened is some of her followers have done this at home and have actually killed themselves. Trigger warning for people that have suicide issues. So there's people that are trying to hold her and her encampment, liable for these suicides because they don't think that since she's not a psychological doctor, she should be promoting people to think about their death, which I kind of agree. When I heard that, I was like, what? Like, what? Jesus. I mean, look, I'm going to be real. I've been through some trauma, and we're going to touch on this later. My mom was murdered, like I've been through some trauma, some serious trauma. And I have had suicidal thoughts, but I wouldn't have done anything. And with that being said, I do not think suicide, like actually contemplating my suicide, like creating a plan would have helped me out of that dark place. I think that's a huge mistake in my opinion, because I have been in that place. You know what I mean? But we'll get to that later. Like, that's why I said there's a lot to unpack here. We're going to be bouncing back and forth because this is insanity. Okay. This is just the top of the iceberg here. We're not even in here. It's a 4-part series, so 2 parts have been released. Directed by a guy named John Casby. I think whoever is amazing, like, that's been filming it, I think they did an amazing job. The cinematographers are doing an amazing job. The audio is amazing. I mean, Hulu, of course, if you're behind Hulu with money, they have the finances to create an actual good production, So it was amazing. And it says that they went incredible lengths to search for this like connection and wellness into the industry, because it seems like they had to gain Teal and her community's trust in order to get in there to film this. Is that how you feel about it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%. They're very tight-lipped as it is, so somebody had to have been trustworthy to be able to get access to this over a period of 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long time, keep that going.
Yeah, they had to poker face through that, and pretend like they weren't doing anything that they were doing, So, okay, episode 1 is called The Lost Toys. I'm going to let you start this, because you were more into the first episode than I was.
Yeah, I mean, the opening scene was
weird.
A woman in like a pool. And to me, it just seemed very like the reason why they opened that way was to make Teal almost look Christ-like.
Yes,
it's kind of what it seemed like to me, as if like she was giving her a baptism, like this woman that was going through some trauma.
Oh yeah.
So it's true. Like I think that was the vision that she was trying to like have them portray, especially given her Pope comment, which I'm still really triggered by. But
wait, like okay, if you haven't seen it, the opening scene is literally Teal, which she is very beautiful. She looks very alien-esque to me. She's definitely a starseed. She does not look like a human. Yep. So, and she's beautiful, so I'm sure that's how she attracts people to her following of just, these wounded people find her and need healing, So she's in this pool, and it's this beautiful blue pool, and you're right. It looks like she is Jesus Christ himself doing a exorcism. I'm just kidding. Doing a baptism, and essentially this woman is like going through her suicide with Teal holding her in the pool, and the girl looks like she's convulsing and shaking and like purging her demons, and Teal is like rocking her and holding her like in the pool. And you're right, it looks like, I don't know, man. I was like, what am I like? The first thought, because that was the opening scene. I was like, what the hell does Elfie want me to watch? Okay, because Jesus, like, woo.
Well, it was just really intense. I mean, it was very like she was screaming and convulsing and crying, and like, props to you if that's what you do. That's okay. Like that's fine. But it just seemed odd that they would open with that, something as stark as that. Not a gentle segue. It was like, bam, trauma, like literally right on the screen in water.
And we're going to talk about trauma, and we're going to talk about shadow work, because I essentially think that's what's going on here is shadow work. But go ahead, keep going. I want to paint a picture, if you know what I'm saying. Is my picture clear enough? Was it great?
Very clear.
Okay.
It's very clear. So pretty much in the first episode, they're talking about Teal Swan's trauma therapy that she calls the completion process. She hosts these workshops and charges up to $5,000 for the week. So people will come out to where her encampment is or wherever the heck she's at, and they will go through the completion process in opening themselves up to their trauma, facing their trauma, and releasing it and not becoming controlled by it anymore, which leads to like confessions and like, family oriented type of energy. Like she wants everyone to hold each other's hands and like be there and be present and, all of that, which it was kind of strange to me because if we're all going through trauma, I guess, like if you're going to that for the week, to me, in my opinion, I don't know if I would feel that comfortable being there for somebody when I'm already holding so much of my own stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Nikita said, wait, so she's using people who are suicidal to gain views. Yes, and she admits this. She says that...
And she does.
Yeah, she says that her followers are wounded people, and that she actually said that she finds her followers to be dangerous because they are watching her at 3 a.m. when they're thinking about suicide. So and she does make money off these people. So it is, you're right. Yeah, it's concerning. I have a lot of concerns about all this. Yeah.
Yeah. So they talk about the completion process. They pan over, segments of her live, events and stuff and talking to people and taking questions and answering them. And then they pan back to the the camp for the week, where she's talking to a room full of people, and she says, quote, "If you want to come within 50 miles of me, you better be ready for the deepest end of the pool."
Mm-hmm.
End quote.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found that just also very stark, because it's like, what an introduction. Like, nice to meet you too. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to dive at the end of the other pool. Like, can we just segue into this? Can we just take some gentle steps before we get thrown in the end of the pool? Be great.
Well, see, and I knew she was having like speaking engagements, because I feel like that's what any public figure would do. So that part didn't shock me. I did not know that she was bringing in 20 people per session. Let's do the math. If it's, because that was about 20 people in that episode, don't you think? 20 people times $5,000. Let's just do the math.
Let's do it.
It's $100,000 a week, ho.
Yeah.
Woo! That's some good money.
It's pretty crazy.
And she said, as long as people need healing, there will be money. And I was like, yikes. So she knows she's making money off of it.
And she refers to these people as that's literally the episode title. She referred to them as lost toys. Mm-hmm. No, they're people. They are not toys. You know? Like, I just feel like that's really insensitive. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is really insensitive. Especially people that come to this are going through some really deep trauma.
I know.
They're not a toy, boo.
I know.
They're not a toy.
Oh, I know.
And they're paying you some money. I wouldn't be calling them toys.
Oh,
you know? It was really frustrating.
She has an ego the size of Jesus if she thinks that she's going to be bigger than the Pope. No, she thinks she's bigger than the Pope is what she said. She says she will. And I'm like, yikes, Jesus, take the wheel. So essentially, let's talk about these camps for a minute. So, because we're watching it. Not everybody's into this. So Kat and I are into this. So we're into spiritualism for sure. I'm not into, let's see. Let's start over. Hang on. Told you just this. We're going to be bouncing all over.
There's a lot.
You can be a cult even if you're not using the word of God. Okay? So I think that Teal, the way she was presenting herself is she's not a cult because it's not about Catholicism. It's not about Christianity. That's not true. You can be a cult. It just matter what the belief system was. Even with Manson, it wasn't even about God. It was about following Manson. He was the cult. He was the leader. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do I think she meant to start this out in the beginning? No, I don't think so. I think, and because they showed some of her old videos versus like newer videos from YouTube, and I think she started out very genuine, honestly. I think she started out genuine. Essentially what she is doing, minus the suicide part. Okay, let's just take that part out for a minute. She is teaching people about shadow work, essentially. Okay, so I have gone through shadow work. Kat, have you gone through shadow work?
Still ongoing. It is still ongoing.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
No, I don't have a tear coming out of my eye. It's fine.
Was it the leprechaun foot? Did your foot kick you in the eye?
Why'd you have to bring it up? I just, it's throbbing now. My foot is throbbing now.
So
great.
I think when she started out, she was genuine. Shadow work is this, if you don't know what shadow work is, okay? Shadow work is, first of all, let's back this up again. Everybody has trauma. Everybody on this planet has had trauma. The celebrities you see on TV, they have also had trauma. There's not a single person on this planet who has not experienced some sort of level of trauma. Some can be worse than others. Some can be easier than others. Trauma to you could just mean your cat died. That is traumatic. My dog died, and it's traumatic. My mother was murdered. That's probably on the more horrendous side of trauma. Being assaulted or molested, that's also on the more horrendous side of trauma. But what shadow work does, and it's not required, this is per person, is you decide to say, I am no longer going to allow my trauma to rule my life. And what does that mean? You've heard those classic things, like if you've ever dated a person and a person says, I can't, I'm not comfortable with you going out with your friends alone because I have abandonment issues. That is trauma. Okay, that is trauma. If you can't be alone, or there's certain things you're like, I just can't do this because of my past, that is trauma. So when you go through shadow work, you say, okay, I'm going to un-F myself because I'm done with trauma, because I don't want trauma to limit my abilities and my path and my journey as a human and stop my experiences from this planet. Therefore, I'm going to fix my trauma internally. That can mean an ayahuasca ceremony. It could mean going to Teal Swan. It could also mean just doing it by yourself. No, it could, right? So
can you imagine Teal with ayahuasca?
I didn't mean it together.
No, but can you imagine? That's a whole other rabbit hole. That's terrifying to think about, yo.
So really what Teal is teaching is different levels of trauma work and shadow work. Okay, so that part I commend her, because a lot of people don't understand it as shadow work. Now, a lot of people don't want to do shadow work either, because I'm not going to lie to you, shadow work's horrible. Okay, I've been doing shadow work since 2019, and my life is so much better. I'm not caring. I mean, I'm actually now doing more shadow work with myself because my mother was tragically murdered, and that's traumatic. I don't know how long that's going to take to heal from, if I ever heal from it. That's the point of shadow work, though, is you could be 10 years down the line and think that you've taken care of all of your trauma or baggage, and something else pops up. But now you are conscious of yourself and your thinking and your thought process, and you're like, okay, that's a shadow, and I need to un-F it, and I can't let it rule my life anymore. How do you un-F it? There's so many ways. You'd have to research shadow work, and honestly, I'm not going to go into it here. You'll have to research it on your own. But that is the part where I do commend Teal Swan, because she's saying, people, everyone's got trauma. Undo it. Undo your trauma. Don't let it rule your life. And I agree. That's an amazing statement to say. However, I'm going to jump forward to her trauma. Let's just jump forward to her trauma.
Okay, we're going to jump.
No, I am, because, when you're teaching people about shadow work, what trauma have you been through to understand what shadow work is? So essentially, Teal does this interview where she says, yes, Nicole says, shadow work is horrible, but the rewards are great. 100%. Yeah, it's not for the weak. It's not for everybody. You definitely have to be on your own journey. I will definitely say I could never go to one of these retreats with Teal. I wouldn't want to do shadow work with other people. That sounds horrible for me. I don't know how.
That's same. That's what I was saying, is like, it makes me uncomfortable because I feel like I'm carrying a lot of my own. I don't know if I'd have that space for other people, or to do that in a space with people I don't know.
My God, like Kat and I both started our shadow path at the same time, but totally separate. And there were moments where, like, she was my therapist and I was her therapist. Like, honestly, it did happen. True. But at the end of the day, I mean, although we've been there for each other for a lot of things, I would not want her here, like, holding me while I was going. I'm sorry. And maybe, yeah, because,
personal.
It's my trauma. I don't want to share trauma bond with you by you holding me in a pool while I'm crying my eyes out. You know what I mean? Like, that's gross. Like, grow up. Like, trauma happened. Un-F yourself. You know what I mean? It's part of the shadow work process. So, anyway, sorry, so that's me bouncing around. I think my dogs are barking. I'm sorry. There's a storm outside, so they'll calm down in a minute. Or else I'll be yelling. Pardon me. Can you please stop? Okay, shadow work. What else was I going to say? Not wanting to, like, encounter that with other people. That's really strange. No. Okay, Teal has trauma, and she talked about her trauma. So, which is sad. So I'm going to validate that she went through it. Okay. Basically, Teal says that, as a child, she was a strange child. Once again, talking about her being like a starseed and an ascended being, right? And she said that she was seeing dead people and talking to dead people as a child, and she was also seeing intergalactic beings, which is aliens, right? And when she told her mother about this, essentially her mom got scared and thought she needed more like Jesus in her life, and forced her to go into like a intensive therapy with like a local priest pastor. And at the age of 13, this man started as a spiritual practitioner, like priest, whatever, he abducts Teal at the age of 13 and starts chaining her up and horrendously like raping her and molesting her for years. This went on until she finally escaped at the age of 19. Okay. So essentially, she claims that while this was happening because she was a child, which this is obviously horrible. Yes, this is traumatic, terrible. It shouldn't have ever happened. You know, her mother put her in a position where her mother should have been protecting her and she didn't. It's horrible. She escapes at 19. And basically, she says that the way she survived the assaults over and over again was laying still while she's chained up and being assaulted and imagining her suicide over and over and over again. And it made her feel like she kept becoming reborn to where she could face the next day. That is her ideology on how she teaches people in these encampments about shadow work, basically, is this really dark way of thinking about it, okay? Let's just pause there for a minute. How do you feel about that?
Not good. Not good, mainly because her experiences on how she got through her trauma may not be the same way that somebody else would. You know what I mean? And I think that's wrong to be charging that much money and pressing that on people and making them experience that, which has sometimes resulted in not a good way. Because you think that your way is the only way, you know? Yeah. And I don't think that's a very healed way of promoting yourself as a spiritual leader, where it's either your way or the highway. And that bothers me. I feel it's contradictory. It's contradictory.
I don't think that that's good at all. And she's not a psychologist. She did not go to medical school. She basically, it sounds like she pretty much shuns Western medicine. And look, I get it, okay? Like, you know, a lot of us, especially, you know, new age millennials, like, oh, the pharmaceutical companies are controlling the diabetic medication and they're charging unbelievable amounts for the EpiPen. And, you know, the pharmaceutical companies are in control of our medications. And so, like, we need to go back to, like, old medication or old medicine, which is, like, herbology and all this. I get that, okay? And to some extent, I agree. But I also believe in modern medicine. Like, there's a freaking reason we live in the 21st century. Thank God. Okay? Because if we didn't have, you know, the antibiotics that we have now, people would still be dying from syphilis. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's true. It move forward.
It's true. And, like, I get it. I hate it too that the pharmaceutical companies are in control. But I don't think that means we should totally, like, shit can what all doctors say. And I guess the other concern is I was looking up online, research of some of this stuff. Some of these people will go to her camp for like a week and they have like bipolar and schizophrenia, like major mental health problems. I'm familiar with these because people in my family suffer from this. So I grew up with people that have these severe mental health problems, and they will go to her camp hoping that, like, through shadow work and stuff, she'll be healed of like bipolarism, and they'll take themselves off their mental medications. Like, that scares me. I don't know if you've ever known someone with bipolar. There's different types of it, but like bipolar 1 is where you have like extreme manic episodes, and people that I know that have had it, they will black out for weeks at a time. When you go manic, you spend massive amounts of money. You get, you're obsessed with sex. So you start sleeping with prostitutes, and you don't remember any of it because you went manic because you're off your medication. Schizophrenia, same thing. It depends on the severity, but you hear voices. You think people are telling you to kill people. And to promote not being on medication and not being like, you're not a doctor. Like, that is where, to me, it gets a little culty. You know what I mean?
It does. It has the same concerns with, you know, our past talk with ayahuasca as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And going there and not eating and being in the middle of the woods, like, it's a safety concern for not only that person, but also for the other people around them. You know what I mean? Especially considering sometimes, like, when they were sharing their traumas or having those conversations in the first episode, they'd be like alone in a room together.
2 people.
What if that person has an episode and like beats the crap out of somebody? You know what I mean? Like, it's concerning. It's a concern.
2 people alone in a room that are complete strangers. It's not a therapist.
You don't know.
She puts
you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It's very strange. It's very strange to me.
Dangerous.
And once again, going back to, you don't know their full mental profile. I don't think they have a doctor on staff. What if there is a massive episode of mental health or even depression or anxiety? You know, what if somebody decides you're having one of those episodes and they drown themselves in the pool and you don't have any medical experience there to help revive them? I mean, I don't know. This is really dangerous to me. I assume when they go there, they have to sign liability forms where, if something happens, they're not liable for it. Another thing is, there's two more things that I want to wrap up with the first episode. One is when she was on stage talking to the girl that was suicidal, and two, her Pope comment. So they show her on stage in the first episode. First, before she goes on stage, she's telling security, I need you to watch me, make sure you're there. She's basically saying she does not trust her fans because they watch her at 3 a.m. when they want to kill themselves, and some of these people get very aggressive with her and, quote, they literally think she is Jesus Christ. And she kind of smiled. I think she liked the Jesus part, which was kind of weird. You know what I mean?
You can't have it both ways.
But it's she's making money off of them, but she's afraid of them too. And she's she's essentially attracting extremely damaged, unhealed people who are following her to the ends of the earth, And so anyway, she brings this. She had a few people that she brought up on stage with her, and they were having this discussion. And this is episode 1 still. And she brings this girl up on stage, and you can tell the girl just kind of looks broken. Another thing I'm gonna say too, which really worries me, and I don't know if anyone watching has been through shadow work like Kat and I have, but if you have gone through extensive shadow work, I'm talking years of it. And it never ends. It doesn't just end. Things can pop up at any time, or my mom dying creates a new shadow. But after you've been through years of shadow work, you can extensively read people easier, don't you think? Because you've kind of examined your own human psyche. And I think that worries me with Teal is I think she's been through so much trauma that she's really good at healing people quickly. Or I'm sorry, not healing people, reading people quickly. Right. And that worries me. You know what I mean? Because I think it could be being misused in the wrong direction. Laura says, shame on Hulu. No, this is good. They need to be bringing this to light. Because even Kat and I had no idea about this with Teal Swan.
And there's an investigation going on with this too, if any of this is ethical. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine. If this has been filmed over... If this 4-parter has been filmed over a course of 3 years, I would assume the investigation is still going on.
Keely said, Hulu is showing this. Hopefully it will do nothing but turn people off from her. Yes, I think that's the hope of it. I think that's the hope. And because once again, I had no idea about any of this till I started watching this. And by the way, some of the things we're saying came from Teal's mouth herself. This isn't just said from other people. She was her ego is huge if you watch her. She is proud of herself and what she's done. And she's the one talking about her followers. So anyway, she brings this girl on stage with her. This is really the only part that really triggered me throughout the first episode. And this girl comes on stage and she looks broken. And once again, if you've been through shadow work, you can easily read people, And she looks like something's wrong. Her hair is not brushed well. She's not very kept. She's a little bit unclean, and she just doesn't look happy in general. And the girl is talking to Teal saying, I want to be here and I want to live, but there's another part of me that just wants to die and kill myself. Okay. And Teal looks at her and says, so why don't you?
And the whole audience, you could feel a shift, an energetic shift where they were in shock that she said that.
I was in shock. She said that. I'm in shock. She said that.
Yeah, it was that was not okay. That was not, even the girl was like, what did you just say? What did you just say? And she continued, and Teal continued defending that.
And once again, I'm still going through depression. I've been talking about it openly on social media. I'm not going to hide it. My mom was murdered. I'm fucking traumatized. Sorry, I just dropped the F-bomb, anybody that's ever gone through that, it's traumatizing. It's she was taken from me, And yes, I've been suicidal. Would I do anything? No. But I'll tell you what, if someone came up on stage and was like, well, why don't you just do it? I probably would have. in my darkest moments. Like, that's, every life matters to me. I've had friends and family both commit suicide, and life matters. Like, we want you here. Like, we want you to be here. And basically, there's another interview that's done later, or I think I looked it up online. Basically, what Teal tells her followers is, like, if you kill yourself, don't worry, because you'll just reincarnate again and you can start over.
It just bothers me. I'm just saying this to say it in the context. She's not God. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't get to tell people that. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's very bold of her to do.
Was it the first or second episode she was challenged by the guy? First episode.
Oh, yeah. And I was happy about that.
Was that first episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was first episode.
So you talk about that part.
So this guy was a part of the completion process, which was that week-long, ceremony and releasing your trauma and all that. And they were just having like a group discussion. She opened the floor for questions, and he pretty much asked her, like, who did you look up to? Like, who motivated you? I can't remember the exact way
he said something like, but he goes, "You're my spiritual advisor. Who was your spiritual advisor?"
Yours?
Yeah, exactly.
And she got very triggered.
Oh, she was pissed. She
was very upset saying that nobody did.
She goes, verbatim, this is what she said, Teal Swan in that episode. She says, "You think someone's above me? No one's above me." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My dogs are like, Jesus.
Yeah, and it was just really not, and he kept going. And I was really proud of him for doing that, because it needed to be said. You could tell everyone else in the room was also like, that's strange.
Well, yeah, I was expecting her to say, like, "Oh, I get this information from my spirit guides. I'm in tune with my angels, God, like the source, whatever." You know what I mean? Like, and instead she's like, "Oh, you think someone's above me?" And she's like snickering. She's like, "No one's above me." She's like, "You think someone's above me? Who would be above me?" And I'm like, yikes.
But then she was gaslighting him, trying to say that was his trauma speaking.
Yeah.
She was trying to make him feel like the small person in the room by speaking to her like that. So she was showing her authority and saying, like, you're just afraid of, authority, I think is what she said. Or you're afraid of this.
She said, "Why are you challenging me?" or something like that.
Right. And he bought it. And he said, "You're right. It is my trauma." And I'm thinking to myself, no, it's not. You're allowed to ask questions. This is why we said this at the beginning of the stream. You are allowed to ask questions. I don't feel like that should be frowned upon. And I feel like if you're...
I want to share this. And this can, like, be, like, bought or not bought. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if people believe this or not. But, I've told you since my mom passed away in January, I was very close with her. And, I've gotten some gifts of the other side, which is mainly, like, dreams, like, very, very vivid dreams of my mother, and even my guides coming to me, like, telling me, like, I'm here to tell stories of the dead. Like, that's the purpose of my life path. I have to stay here, as upset I am about my mom. I'm sorry, guys. There's a storm outside, so my dogs are just freaking out. But basically, she said, I asked my guides, I said, does God exist? And in the dream, they said the source. So they don't call him God. It's not a male. It's not female. I think it's a they more she. Once again, you can believe what you want. But then I said, so what religion, like, are we supposed to believe on earth? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many religions. Are we supposed to be Buddha? Like, is there a right one? Hindu, like Catholicism? They said, no, there is no religion. However, when you incarnate, that is your choice, your free will, your path. In other words, there are no right or wrong answers, right? Which I truly do believe that. I believe that. There are no right or wrong answers. And for her to get that defensive and literally sitting there acting like God, that was weird. That was weird. It was
not. What?
What? No, just her saying.
I was like.
What was weird was her being so, I want to use the word egotistical again, but just like.
Triggered.
She was so proud to say that no one's above her. And it's like, did you invent the planet? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did you birth the planet out of your vagina? Like, how is no one above you? How are you so convinced?
No, and this is what I was telling Krystal when we were talking about this on the phone a couple days ago, or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I said, I would have had more respect for the spiritual leader holding this week-long whatever if they said, this person inspired me and here's why.
Right,
because that's relatable. That's humble. That's also having a human experience with other people that are wanting to have that as well. And it's, you know, that's a really beautiful moment. Like, that's a really great way for you to be your authentic self and say, you know what, we all start somewhere, but this was my path and this is who inspired me. Like, there's no shame in that. So I think it just seems to me that she's clearly not as healed as she's portraying if she's still hiding behind the guise of, it was all me. Me.
Yeah, I think,
you know,
I think she's got a lot of, I mean, I'm going to say something, I'm jumping it forward again, but that's fine because I told you we're going to be all over the place with this. I really, God, I'm getting hot talking about this, man. Nikita said, I think I'm going to opt out of this one. I know, but this is tea, right? Like, this is some good tea.
You should watch it.
It is.
Yeah, you should.
Well, I think like the part
that's what's going to happen from this.
Well, it's true that I think the part that's fascinating to me is to see like a real life cult unfolding in front of our eyes in present time. That doesn't happen very often. Like, I mean, Charles Manson just died recently, but like that got shut down before we were like aware of it. You know what I mean? So to know that this is going on, I find it like really interesting, I guess. Anyway, the last thing that happened, the very last quote basically of the episode 1 was, they have Teal like sitting down in this chair that looks very like royalty. Don't you think it felt like royalty the way they had her sitting? Like a throne.
Yeah.
And they sit her down and she looks at the camera and she's like, oh, I'm going to be bigger than the Pope. She was like, people laugh at me all the time. She goes, you just fucking watch. That's what she said. And I was like, wow.
She believes it. And that's just not going to happen.
Well, not only
not going to happen,
but like on an opposing side, and like I don't even think the Pope should have that kind of power. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't like organized religion in general. This isn't just about her; it's about all organized religion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was
it's the comment. It's the intention behind it. Like, it's not good. It's not good. It's not a good look, boo. Take it down a notch.
Well, okay. You know, second episode, we're going to go into episode 2 now. I hope everybody's still on. So now I felt personally attacked in the second episode. Because there's paranormal that happens in the second episode. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm involved now. I am involved now. Now I am involved. This isn't just a negotiation. Now I'm actively involved because...
This is here.
And by the way, I'm not going to sit here like she did and be like, oh, I do call myself the queen of paranormal, but I don't mean it in a God sense like she does. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you are not Teal Swan.
So I know. So one thing that's really strange. So we left off with you saying you think she has a lot of trauma. 100%. I think that she has so much trauma that she can't face. And I think that she enjoys seeing other people suffer because of the way she suffered with her trauma. And once again, I'm not saying what she went through wasn't horrific. Like, that's terrible as a 13-year-old child. You know what I mean? Like, that's absolutely traumatizing. She should have never had to go through that. But it's just strange. Like, when she speaks, she does not talk about things like Kat and I. Like, we're sitting here laughing, having a conversation. She uses metaphors for everything to the point where I was like, shut up. Like, not everything has to be this, like, genius metaphor. You know what I mean? Like...
Are you Yoda? What's happening right now?
Like, for example, she was... we'll talk about who Blake is in a minute. That's her, like, first boyfriend. It's, like, some weird polygamy. I don't even know what's going on.
He's just a weird...
He's just
weird
kind of floating there. But, so Blake gets a new girlfriend, okay? And she's like... Juliana is like... This is how Teal speaks about things. She's like this roughened stone. She has all these rough sides and she hasn't been smoothed out yet. We haven't given her like that polished stone side that she needs. So everything is this like deep metaphor and I'm just like, stop. It's not a deep metaphor. Like, just be a human. It's not a deep, I don't need to talk about a polished stone. Just say you don't freaking like her and she needs some work and you need to like spiff her up. You know what I mean? That's what she meant, right? Like, don't talk about a polished stone. This isn't a crystal, you know, expo. I'm not buying amethyst here. This is about a person named Juliana. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So then she says that she sees auras, which I found interesting. So she's talking about like people's auras, and I was like, okay, well that's new. And now another thing that I noted is whether it's a personal or not, she immediately sees problems in every person that she meets immediately. Doesn't even give them a chance. So I don't know. I think this is a wounded inner child thing. When you have had damage and serious trauma in your life, I mean, like my dad was abusive when I was growing up. You know what I mean? So like that caused eating disorders and everything else. And it makes you just not trust people immediately, and you stand back and you're analyzing everybody in everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what to me she's doing, that she hasn't healed that trauma though. So the minute someone sits down, she's ready to analyze them. And the crazier part is like everybody agrees with her when she does that to them.
Because no one's allowed to challenge her. Mm-hmm. It's either her way or you're wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's so narcissistic and gross. It's unfathomable.
It is.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Get a grip.
Well, but once again, everyone's traumatized. I'm sorry. This is a hard planet, man. Nobody's gotten off the hook here.
Earth is dark.
It is. It's a dark place. And you know what? We've all had some shit that we've been through, and none of us nobody got off the hook here. Sorry. You know what I mean? So, but then I feel like that makes you feel isolated, because you're like, if somebody sits down and talks about your trauma immediately when they haven't seen you, you're like, shit, I must be messed up. No, you know what I mean? Like, am I wrong? Isn't that how you would feel if you like sat down with her? You'd be like, shit, I'm a hella messed up. I need some work. I'm gonna sign up for that, $5,000 workshop.
No, it's true. She's convincing to people that are really desperate for wanting help. Yeah. And that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong.
Money is a problem from the cult topic, and she's talking and discussing with her team. Okay. By the way, another thing that kept coming up that I found interesting was she doesn't call it her house. She doesn't say, I live in my house. This is my house. She says, this is my community. And immediately that to me was like cult, 100% cult. Don't you? I mean, right?
I was like, Manson?
You did, yeah. Immediately you were like, This is my community. So it's like she can't just claim her house. She has to claim her manager's house. And they all live in like a little hub, in like a cul-de-sac thing together, like a ranch, you know what I mean? And she's like, no, this is my community. And I'm like, yee. You know what I mean? Like, yikes. She's saying that she should have stopped the haterade or the hater comments. And she should have addressed it publicly when it first started, and it wouldn't have gotten to the point it is now, which I found interesting. So in other words, she's known she's been considered a cult, and she thought if she would have zapped it, nipped it in the bud, a while ago, it may not have gotten to the point where it is now. But she says, I'm in the business of healing. And that's how people pay money to them. And so if people don't trust her, they will no longer get money. She says that in the documentary. So she knows this whole cult vibe is affecting her pocketbook. And she said that it did massively affect them financially when it came out that they were a cult. So once again, if she had true intentions, I feel like it wouldn't be about the money. It would be about healing her followers.
Yeah.
Like attracts like. If you have those good intentions out there, also, I am spiritual, right? Like I freaking hunt ghosts for a living, right? I do believe in karma personally, and I do feel like if you put bad out, you will get bad back. If you put out good, you will get good back. Look at all the good things that are happening to Ghost Girl Diaries right now, right? Now look at her getting all this press on cults. Do you think it's because she's done some bad things to people and she has some bad karma coming back her direction because she's not really being genuine? Also, I do believe that she has gifts, that she can talk to her guides or whoever she's in communication with. I'm not questioning that at all. But I think that she's been using her gifts for bad. And in my opinion, this is what you would call a dark light worker. Do you agree?
Yeah, she's using her gifts with ill intent, and that there comes a price to pay with that. Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, she has to look at herself and she has to know that the things that she's saying are extremely culty. Mm-hmm. And she's the one that has to sit with that mess daily.
Yeah, that's where I'm confused on, is like she's blaming everyone else for the cult vibes, but she's the one speaking this. You know what I mean? Like, she's the one that's caused the cult vibes. It's been everything that's literally come out of her mouth that made me think it was a cult. It's nobody else.
Exactly. Right, but she'll blame it on everybody else.
This is on Hulu. It's the deep end. It's on Hulu and it's on Peacock. Is it Freeform? Yeah. Okay, I may have messed up.
I think it's on Peacock too, actually.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. So she talks about, like, you know, money is a problem. They're sitting at this, like, kitchen table and she's, like, getting really emotional and nobody else is really, so she has, like, her manager there, like a social media person, Juliana and Blake. And she's mad at them for not reacting the same way she is. And then she's like, well, do you not, feel the same way I do? So she controls she wants them to feel the pain she's feeling, which is once again why I feel like she does this whole, like, suicide process with her fans. She doesn't feel alone. Yeah. Well, okay. So you want to talk about Blake? Let's talk about Blake.
Oh, Blake.
What a strange dynamic. Which, by the way, if you're polygamy, like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, just be it. Like, I was talking to Elfie about it. She's like, I don't really care what they are, but just, like, be it. You know, like the way that she was describing it was very, like, confusing, and clearly they are, like, a community. Like, so Blake and her were together when she was 19. She escaped to Blake's house when she was being molested, and Blake took her in and basically took care of her. Major trauma bond there. And she, like, canned all of her family, hasn't seen her blood family since, and Blake took care of her. They were together in a sexual relationship for a year and then broke up. And Blake and her have lived together for 12 years, yet they've only been together for 1. And in that 12-year span, she was married 5 times.
Yep.
No, which, by the way, like, girl, get it. Like, you marry that D if that's what you need. You know? Yeah, like, I don't, but I'm just saying, like, it's very strange. She got married 5 times while still living with Blake for 12 years.
Yeah. And honestly, in my opinion, I think that Blake had genuine intentions of, like, wanting to be there with her. And I think she's using his demons or his insecurities against him. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because there are a couple of times there was, like, behind the scenes stuff going on, and you could see the sheer terror on Blake's face.
He looks a little weak. Let's be real. He looks like a squish ball. He looks like she runs him over. She probably controls him with money and everything. You know what I mean? He just, to me, he looks like a squish ball. Yeah.
But he also looks like he wants out.
Well, that's why he got with this new girlfriend. So she also has a child. I didn't know that. She has a child with one of these 5 ex-husbands. And Blake has essentially, like, raised this child. It's not his. So just, what is going on? I don't even know. I'm so confused. But it's, like, to me, like, before I knew that about her, she portrays this, like, perfect outer image where I would have never expected her to have 5 failed marriages. And I'm sorry, but, like, if you've had that many failed marriages, maybe you should be working on yourself instead of other people. Am I wrong?
Yep. No, not at all. Not at all. She didn't allow herself the time to process what she needed to, and she's pouring it into other trauma, with other people, and trauma bonding with her community. It's, like, messed up. It's really messed up.
Made me hot, made me tired. So that's when she starts talking, and they're now going, like, deeper into this retreat that she has over the course of a week. Okay. And she has all these people coming in, and she's literally telling them, like, you know, when we go do this process, I want you to envision your suicide. If you were to commit suicide, what would you do, like, in detail? And I don't know, man. I just don't. That was, like, really not a good idea to me. Like, and she describes herself as being like, I'm not gonna, like, you know, sugarcoat this. I'm just gonna tell you as it is. I just think that's just, like, cruel. And, like, you're playing doctor and psychologist, and you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So essentially what has happened is people at home have watched her videos, and they've not only imagined suicide, but they've actually done it. She's had followers that have killed themselves because of her, quote, therapy that she claims works. And family members of these people, of her fans, are trying to hold her accountable. I don't think that they'll ever be able to, unfortunately. But it is very strange situation going on here. Like, and once again, I had no idea about it. Did you have any, like, I had no idea this was what she was doing.
No, thank goodness this documentary came out. Honestly, because...
And she's proud of it. She is proud of saying that, like, you need to envision your suicide. You're going to be reborn again. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, and a lot of my best friends, too, are veterans. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about the irresponsibility behind saying something like this. I have a lot of people in my life, family members and friends. I'm a huge supporter of the veteran community. I've spoke out about it all the time. I donate to the veterans. I'm always working with veterans, you know, and they have, you know, a lot of them have severe mental health from, like, Afghanistan, Iraq. And, you know, they've been diagnosed with certain, you know, mental illnesses because of the trauma they experienced at war. And I just imagine someone like that stumbling upon her videos, and I think they would actually do it. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't, once again, this is where, you know, an actual psychologist or a doctor would need to get involved, because there's different levels of trauma. The trauma a soldier experienced in Iraq is not going to be the same level of trauma you experienced with being abducted and molested for years, which they're both horrible. There's not one. That's why, like, trauma bonding is so bad. You don't want to trauma bond with people, because no one's going to ever, like, even if I meet people that have experienced a parent being murdered, like I have, they're never going to still understand what I'm going through. So, like, that's why you don't trauma bond with people, like, even separate experiences than that. So she has these week-long things where these people get together, and she puts two strangers. So she has about 20 people in a group, two strangers together alone in a room. And you're supposed to just go in there, they shut the door, and you do your freaking shadow work together with a stranger. What?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's scary to think that she has such a big platform that's clearly influential in the wrong ways. And I'm really glad this documentary's out, honestly, because something needs to be shed on this. It's dangerous. And yeah, I agree with you, Krystal, 100% that this is definitely a heavy dose of karma, and more is probably coming.
Well, so you have two people, you have two strangers going in a room and trauma bonding once again and experiencing trauma together. And, you know, unfortunately, there is always going to be one person that has worse trauma than the other, right? It's just the way it is. And that's why you shouldn't trauma bond, because both people are going to think their trauma is equally or worse than the other. But realistically, from an outsider, someone's going to have a worse experience. So, for example, you take someone that's been molested and assaulted, that's pretty traumatic, versus someone that just has daddy issues. It's traumatic, but it's probably just not as bad. I mean, of course, depends on the daddy issues, but if dad just decided to, like, get drunk every night and leave the house, you know, you just feel neglected, where this person was actually physically assaulted daily. You know what I'm saying? But now you have two people, strangers in the room, right? And the person with the daddy issues is now going to be taking care of the one with the worst trauma. That is not your job. You just paid $5,000 to go be someone else's psychologist, and now you're not getting fixed.
When that's supposed to be Teal's job. You know what I mean? It just seems to me that, like, she makes everybody else do the dirty work, and she takes all the credit for it.
And the money.
She says a few smart things that people are like, oh, because she knows how to, you know, get to people. And then she gets the money and runs.
Well, the problem is that, and I saw this once again in the documentary, she attracts extremely wounded people. And I really think that that is with any religious organization. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up, I was baptized Lutheran, which is a little bit more hardcore than Christian. You know what I'm saying? And I did go to church like as a child, but as I got older, my mom sort of like let me make that decision. And my mom used to say, you don't need to go to God's house every Sunday to pray. If you want to talk to God, you can talk to him right now. And I feel like it's just with her, she is like the messiah of this. And it's like she teaches her followers, like, until you come see me and like you have that like pool experience with me of like you're born again, Jesus Christ sort of, you know, I know I'm going to dip you in the holy pool and you're going to experience your suicide and you're going to come back a new person. I hate to say it, that that's not really going to work. Shadow work isn't a one and done deal. Shadow work is not going to be fixed after 1 week. You're paying $5,000 for like no reason, honestly. Shadow work is something that needs to continue for years and years and years. And unfortunately, new traumas are going to pop up.
They will throughout your whole life.
But 1 week, do you think that's long enough to heal even one shadow?
No, not even that dark of stuff. You know what I mean? It's go to a licensed professional, not Teal Swan.
Yeah, I agree. It probably would be cheaper. Yeah. There's so many apps out nowadays too that you can access therapy for pretty cheap, like $30 a session. That's cheaper than $5,000 plus the flight there, plus this. You know what I mean? Like, dang, you know.
Yeah.
Start with a therapist and yourself, and maybe some self-help books. Honestly, that's where I got it going. You know what I mean? Like, you're capable of doing this on your own. So suicide, imagine, that's the next topic that we just went over. She says, she asks her followers this, what does the loneliness inside of you? What do you need to feel that space from the inside? So she's basically also teaching you to hold your inner child, your wounded inner child. So I get it. So once again, there's some things she says, I agree. But it's interesting that she's not using this in like the shadow work standpoint. She's making it sound like she created all of this, and this is not something created by Teal Swan. Whether it was given to her by like her guides or whatever, like shadow work's been around forever. It actually started out as a very like witchcraft, pagan sort of ritual of shadow work where you don't want to carry around trauma, and it's been adopted by like the New Age spiritual community. So it's basically healing that inner wounded child. Like what did you lose as a child that you needed that needs to be fixed? And I don't think experiencing suicide, you know, metaphorically speaking, is going to fix it. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
It shouldn't even be a topic of conversation when discussing trauma. Mm-hmm. Especially not as someone who's not a licensed professional.
I have lost people to suicide. My cousin killed himself. He drank pills and drank and killed himself. Didn't wake up the next day. My one best friend, when I was in 7th grade, I talk about it in my book. He hung himself in 7th grade. Suicide's not funny. And if you need help, you need to reach out to somebody, even if it's a friend, somebody. Like, don't sit there or the suicide helpline. Like, I just imagining your suicide, I think it's just reckless, honestly. I think it's absolutely reckless. So she says that her followers want to be a part of something, and they found that in her. So once again, lots of ego going on. And once again, that's where I question her own shadow work. She wouldn't want to be in a room with me because I'd have a lot to say. I don't think she's met somebody, you know what I mean?
Same.
Yeah. If she had done shadow work, like actual shadow work that she's preaching on everybody else, her ego would not be so damn inflated, because that is part of shadow work, is destroying your ego.
It is, and it's also part of being human, is having human experiences. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like even as a spiritual, quote unquote, spiritual leader, or someone who, you know, people look up to, we're all not here to be perfect. That defeats that defeats the purpose of being human.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Well, and yeah, you're right. This path isn't supposed to be perfect. Like, and it doesn't even have to be trauma. We all have bad days. We have sad days. We have complications that we don't like. We all get into that fork in the road where, shit, I need to either go right or left, and I don't know what to do. And like, you know, your path lies in your hands. But the beautiful part about that is free will.
Yes.
You know, free will exists. Whatever we do on this planet, free will exists. And we are the ones in control of it, not a spiritual leader, not do as they say, not their word is God. And that goes for any organized religion. Like anybody involved in any organized religion, you need to question everything they say. If, you know, what do they say in the spiritual community? Keep what resonates, don't take what doesn't resonate, right? So if something doesn't resonate, drop it and leave it. And
the rest.
But she seems so forced. Like this is, and she says that at the end of the documentary. She says like my way or the highway, basically. So, but first let's talk about Amir. Well, wait, we talked about, okay, first let's talk about Juliana. So Blake is the ex-boyfriend from 19 years old. She claims Blake is her only, quote, family because he rescued her from, you know, years of assault and abuse. So trauma bond major, it's never going to go away. That trauma bond is cemented in, right? Like he is her everything. And Blake is now dating a new girl named Juliana. He met on like a dating app. And Teal is clearly very jealous that he is dating someone else. And they're so serious to the point where Blake wants to move Juliana into the compound, the community where they live. And Teal is not happy. And she basically has like an interrogation session with the new girlfriend. You saw that, right?
I did. Yeah, it was so silly.
And Blake even went outside and he's like, well, that's about as intense as I thought it would be. And it's just like, she's like, you're moving into my community. This is my community. And girls from Blake's past, it's either their way or my way. And like, you know, he has to choose sides and I don't want him to have to do that. And essentially she's saying like, Blake will pick me at the end of the day, no matter what.
And Blake sat there and did not defend is the person he wanted to marry. You know what I mean? Like, I think, oh man, he allows Teal to do whatever she wants. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem. Honestly, if I were Juliana, I wouldn't want to get married to that. Be like, excuse me, thank you.
But thank you. I will say this too, that if Blake wants out of this cult, I think that Juliana's his only ticket out. Because
I agree. She just seemed to have her wits about her.
Yeah, because she questions Teal and Teal doesn't like it. But somebody needs to. You know what I mean? So, okay, so now we're going to... go ahead.
It's weird that, like, it also seemed like Teal had to approve the marriage as well. Yeah. It's kind of what it looked like. And they had that shot of her, like, you know, in the background, you know, during the wedding. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like,
I gagged. I was like,
boo.
You've had 5 failed marriages. You don't get to say
figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, go to therapy yourself. Take some of that $5,000 and go get a really good therapist. You know what I mean?
Gosh,
I can't. Okay, she gets this follower. It's this guy named Amir. Okay, so she holds private sessions with her followers that come pay this $5,000. Not all of them get a private session, but some of them do. So this guy sits down with her and she does what she's good at, which is she starts going into metaphors because that's all she talks about. And she's basically calling... she's Yoda. She's Yoda. She's calling Amir out for all his tragedy and trauma. And she's basically saying like, oh, I see right through you. I see everything wrong with you. And she just starts like firing at him. And he's sitting there. And I actually kind of liked his response because he was like, I don't think anything's wrong with me. He's like, I don't know. He's like, you know, I've been through some hard stuff, but like, I don't see what you see. And I was like, good. Somebody said so. And she's like, you don't. So what do you see then? Well, then it took a real hard right.
Took a hard, quick right, and we're like, what just happened?
Took a hard right turn. So
yes, it did.
Go ahead.
He pretty much
the follower
stated, Amir, that he's here. He was at this week-long session because he was sexually attracted to Teal.
He basically wants to have sex with Teal.
Yeah, and she sits there for a beat and is like, well, that's a problem.
She looked like she thought about it for a minute. Like she was like,
She did.
Yeah.
I think she kind of like got off on that in a way. Like being like, oh, someone's interested in me like that because she likes power. Mm-hmm. She likes to be wanted like that, you know? And she immediately calls Blake, of course, and ropes him in. And I think it's just, you know, this is what I told Krystal is that I think that, you know, she likes when men take care of her, you know, and she wanted him to take care of the situation and to talk to Amir.
Well, I'm going to read it out because I even put these quotes because I was like, I can't forget this because this is just too good. She says, she looks at Amir, which is the follower she's having a private therapy session with. She says, I look at you right now and you have no cohesive thoughts, which, by the way, if you're a freaking human being and you're walking, I'm pretty sure you got some cohesive thoughts, okay? Why? Because you have to learn to put one foot in front of the other. Am I wrong?
It's true. Yeah.
Like, he had to sit in that chair. That's a cohesive thought. Like, I will now sit in this chair. I'm going to look at her. That's a yeah, he can think. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I think that's her, like, trying to break him down and, like, you know, tell him what his trauma is and, like, you're a broken human. Let me fix you. You're a broken toy. Let me fix you. Let me tell you how broken you are. I will fix you. That was the vibe I got from her. So Amir says, I think I'm doing fine. That's what he said. I think I'm doing fine. And then he says, I think I'm here because I'm sexually attracted to you. And she goes, oh, that could be a problem for me. You see how that's a problem for me. So they kind of finish having this conversation. Teal, like, goes off. She goes out, like, into the house now, and she's followed by her, you know, posse and her camera crew. And she's like, I effing hate the spiritual community. I effing hate it. And once again, I'm like, your followers are going to see this. You're telling, in the beginning, you said that you didn't like your followers because they're basically thinking about suicide at 3 a.m. and they're watching your videos, so you find them dangerous. Now you're telling them that you need to make more money off of them and you're concerned that your money is going to be lacking because it's now been called a cult. And now you're saying you hate the spiritual community. Okay, well, why is anybody still paying you then? Yeah.
Right.
Why are people still following you then? Like, this came from her mouth, guys. Like, you can't make this up. Go watch the documentary yourself. You know what I mean? And so she gets on the phone with Blake and she's like, you won't believe this. Like, this guy Amir, I just had this, like, you know, private consultation session with him, and he says he wants to have sex with me, and I need you to go talk to him. So let's just pause for a minute, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We are women in paranormal. I get it. Okay, I have been in a situation. I was introduced to somebody that's a famous friend of mine who introduced me to another famous male YouTuber. Okay, this male YouTuber started sending me dick pics. I don't send a girl dick pics. Do you think that's gonna get me to go out with you on a date? Are you serious? What's that title? Demisexual, where you have to be emotionally attached to somebody before you can physically. Dick pics, you'll get blocked immediately from me. Like, I just don't even, when you've seen one, you've seen them all. I've said this before, okay? Like, I hate men. I'm not a lesbian and I hate men. Anyways, this guy started sending me dick pics and he was introduced to me from a famous guy, and I had to have another public event with him, okay? I left immediately when I was with him. If this happens to you as a woman, she let this guy stay on her compound when he tells her he wants to have sex with her. Immediately have him escorted off of the property. What are you doing? You don't need...
She wanted the attention. She wanted to keep him there. Clearly she wasn't affected by it. She just wanted Blake to go save the day so she could, you know, feel like she's being saved.
Yeah, she wants to be saved.
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
sick.
Her trauma is showing really hardcore. You know what I'm saying?
You're not healed, okay?
Yeah.
You're not.
I know.
Fine.
Well, and I think that's why I wanted to talk about this on the stream today is, I mean, I know that we're in paranormal, so it's not like, we're not really a part of, like, the spiritual belief system other than, like, the dead, you know, exists, like, back from the dead. But, like, it is similar where I think people cross over, and that's why I was like, we need to really talk about this. Like, someone needs to talk about this in the spiritual community that has opposing views, because this is, like, not safe. You know what I mean? So anyway, so this Amir guy, you know, she lets him stay on the compound after he basically propositions her for sex. If that were me, I would have had him escorted off the property. Bye. You don't get a refund. You disrespected me. I don't feel safe with you on the property. He could have broken and raped her. And you know, I'm just, seriously, let's be real here. So no, instead of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Instead of setting up boundaries, which is also part of shadow work, is more proof that she hasn't done shadow work, is she couldn't even put up a boundary with one of her followers that propositioned her for sex. She decides to bring him in, like, a group setting, and she decides to tear apart his trauma in front of everyone, and now she's going to offer him a spiritual session where she channels his dead mother.
Just really messed up.
So you just rewarded the guy that sexually propositioned you, and it's probably, and you're not putting in boundaries, probably unsafe situation. Now you're going to reward him by channeling his dead mother.
That's literally what I said too. That's literally what I said. And she wants, I swear, sometimes watching the way she interacts with people and says things, she puts herself in compromising situations in order to complain about them and be the victim.
Jessica said, I can't.
She's addicted to being the victim.
She is addicted to being the victim. She's addicted to being the center of attention, and she has definitely not dealt with her trauma because it's all over the place. Like it's been, it's her trauma flags are flying. Jessica said, I couldn't believe she kept them there either. Yeah, as a female and paranormal, if we were doing a public event and a male came up to one of us and propositioned us for sex, 2 seconds later, my head of security would have had him out of there. No questions.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, you paid $400 to come ghost hunt with us? Not my problem. Maybe you shouldn't have been an idiot and you wouldn't have to be escorted off the property.
True. Doesn't take much to be respectful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Not a pig.
Yeah, well, and once again, this always happens, and I will defend Teal partially because this happens to women, not men. I mean, I'm sure it happens sometimes, but men don't feel in an unsafe position where women can literally, we're smaller, we can be taken over easily, and she should, if she was actually assaulted as a child and chained up and sexually abused for 10 years or however long it was, why are you allowing another sexual predator to stay on the property with you? Do you see where I'm concerned?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see where I'm freaking confused here?
100%.
And you don't call it a cult. Okay, I'm confused. So anyway... Now this is, well, I know, money, yeah. So now this is where I get involved, which is, so first of all, she starts to sage, okay? And I'm going to just go ahead and address it because it's going to come up at some point. Do I think you should be allowed to sage if you're not Indigenous? Oh my God, I hate that. I don't know who started it. I am Indigenous. I'm registered with my tribe. I don't give a shit who uses sage, okay? Just... you know, buy it ethically, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to buy it, make sure it's ethically been harvested. Just, I don't care. I hate the gatekeeping with sage. I don't want to hear it. I don't care who uses it, for God's sake. My grandmother would, if she was alive, she's straight off the res, she would be like, this is ridiculous. We're even having this conversation. So anyway, just get that clear. Grandma would be like, no, I'm not even going to go there. She's saging. Now she's preparing for a channeling session. Now, I assume Teal herself is going to channel. Is that what you thought?
Since she's getting cleansed. Yeah.
Yeah, she's cleansing her. Yeah, she has a eagle feather. She's doing Indigenous ways of cleansing. Like, I'm like, oh, she's gonna channel. Okay, cool. I want to see this part, you know, because it's like paranormal. She says she's channeling a higher being, whatever. I want to see this. So she starts picking apart a mirror because obviously, once again, he's a broken toy. She's trying to fix it, right? If he's sexually, you know, attracted to me, it's because he has trauma that he needs to undo. Oh God, here we go. Okay.
I'm not helping him with that. Go fix it.
I know. So
check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay.
So she finds out that Amir's mother killed herself or had several suicide attempts, and finally she killed herself and Amir saw her dead body. So he has like trauma from that and he wants to like say goodbye or something. I don't even know. Laura just said I got mine from Amazon, and just immediately I thought, you got your trauma from Amazon? No.
Also mood.
Same. Oh God.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We won't go there.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Laura may have just accidentally tapped into something. You know what I mean? It's fine.
It's fine. You know, it's fine.
So she's preparing to channel, and she asks Amir, do we have your permission to channel your dead mother? Would you like to talk to your dead mother one more time? And I was like, oh, great. We're in the business of Krystal. Like, let's talk about the dead. I am here and I am ready to go. All right. Now at this point, I am enthralled because I'm like, yes, I want to know what's going to happen. And by the way, I'm very skeptical when it comes to people channeling, like extremely skeptical. And because, you know, I don't know if she's psychic or what, I don't know what she claims to be, but even if you're a psychic or medium, I am very skeptical of it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I was like, I'm watching you, ho. Okay, I am watching you right now. I know this, okay? This is my field. I got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she sits down, and I'm waiting for Teal to, like, channel a god or some shit. You know, I don't even know. And all of a sudden, here walks in Juliana, which is Blake's girlfriend, fiance, okay? And I'm like, I'm confused. What's going on here? You know, so like Julia, and they're not explaining what's going on. So you have to pay attention and watch this. So Juliana walks in, which, by the way, she just supposedly moved to the compound. And now all of a sudden she's coming in. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe she needs somebody to be there while she's channeling. Like maybe it's unsafe. Sometimes people thrash around when they're being channeled. I've seen people tie people down when they're channeling because it's, you know, and so I would thought that's what was happening. I don't know. You know what I mean? And but I'm thinking like Julie is the newbie. She just moved here. And so now they cut to like Julia, and she's like, I just moved here and I'm doing everything Teal asks of me. Like I have to make a really good impression on her because if I don't do everything she wants me to, basically she's not going to let me stay in a relationship with Blake. And so I have to do this with her and for her, and I want to do it. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm still confused. I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden, Teal puts her hand on Juliana in the middle of the room, and her head drops, and I'm realizing supposedly Juliana is now channeling his dead mom.
Got a right turn there, too, okay? That was some weird... some weird stuff, okay?
I can't. Your face.
I was like, what is happening? I'm watching this. I'm like, is she okay? Like, is she ill? Like, I was genuinely did not think she was channeling. I thought she was like getting sick or something.
Well, let's talk about opposing views. So let's talk about if it actually did happen and if it like wasn't a thing. Like, because I feel like both sides of it. Like, you guys know I love to play devil's advocate. Like, that's where I sit on my throne. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Nikita said, "Get your Amazon trauma boxes." Mood, same.
Yeah.
Where do you even start with this, Kat? Like, how do you even start with this? Like, how do you even unpack this? First of all, I don't believe someone can just, like, I have been doing paranormal for 10 years and I can't just walk in and channel somebody. Like, you're telling me Juliana just met Blake off the street, walked into this compound, and could just all of a sudden start channeling higher beings? If that's the freaking case, why aren't we all doing it?
It's true. It's true. I almost wonder a couple things. If, one, Teal was trying to, like, make a fool of Juliana. Or two, if there were prior discussions that were not on film or not in the cut, you know, for the documentary. I just lost my train of thought.
Well, you're talking about like if they like planned it before they came on camera, basically.
Right. Like, why wouldn't they disclose that? You know, because it was just a very confusing scene. It was just a very confusing scene. And why would you make her do it? Like, is that her initiation?
I'm getting angry.
Like,
I'm trying to calm down.
Someone?
Well, okay. Let me start here. I don't even know where to start. Honestly, this is a bucket of fucks. Sorry, I just dropped another F-bomb. Let's start with saying... Let's start here. I'm going to start as a paranormal investigator. I'm going to start as a ethical paranormal investigator. Someone who has empathy for people. And I'm going to say, I think it is absolutely wrong that you claim that you can channel someone's dead mother. He had serious trauma with his mom dying in that way. She committed suicide. And I find it ethically wrong that you're claiming you're interacting with her. I find that extremely ethically wrong as a paranormal investigator. I am extremely offended, and I find it foul, to be honest. I don't even have a word for it, because this person is literally dying inside. I know, because my mother died in a traumatic way. It is so painful. and now you're going to claim you can talk to her? Oh, it gets better. It gets better. So as the channeling session's going on, the mom comes through Juliana and says that she hasn't crossed over to the other side yet, and she's, quote, stuck.
No words.
As a paranormal investigator, I can't even tell you how livid that made me. Especially coming from someone that has had their mother die in a traumatic way. If somebody told me my mother didn't cross over because of the traumatic death she had and she's been stuck, I would probably punch them in the throat.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a right thing to say.
Where are the ethics?
Incident.
I don't care if you're making money off people. You can just be a freaking compassionate, nice person. It costs $0.00 to be a nice person and be understanding of what this person experienced. Teal, especially if you claim that you had all these horrible encounters of sexual abuse, you understand what trauma does to a person, and you're going to say this person's been stuck in the in-between for like 5 or 6 years? Are you serious right now?
Oh, it happened. It happened.
So anyway, Juliana's channeling the mom, saying she's sorry. She starts crying. It's causing Amir to cry. He's saying that he forgives his mom. And then, it gets even better than that. At the end of the channel session, Teal looks at Amir and says, your mother can't cross over until you tell her she can go. You have to tell her she can go. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. And I know this from being a paranormal investigator. We have free will. All of us. Every single one of us has free will. And by the way, if his mother crosses or doesn't cross is not up to him. It is up to his mother. We have free will to stay or to go. No one controls it. Not a single one of us. If I died tomorrow and my ghost lingered, Kat could not tell me to cross over. It's up to me. It is up to my free will to call my angels and guides to come help me out. It's not up to anybody else, whether you have kids, grandparents, dads, uncles, mom, children. So that's from years of paranormal investigating. And I'm not the only one that believes in that. There is hundreds of investigators that believes in that from investigating. So she sat there and said, first of all, your mom's been stuck for years. She hasn't crossed over because she has guilt. And the only way she can cross over is if you tell her she can go. So Teal just handed this guy a bunch more trauma that he has to go and fuck. Cool. Great. So he just paid $5,000 to get more trauma, right?
After being a pig.
After already being a pig. And honestly, I don't think he even deserved that, even if that did happen. Now, on the opposing side, you kind of talked about this earlier when we were on the phone. If it was real and it did happen and she was channeling, you had an opinion on it.
Trying to remember what the opinion was. I feel like there's just so much, man. There's just so much to unpack here.
It's so bad. It's so much.
It was really bad. Like, even after we both watched the episodes, we needed like a day to decompress from what we had just witnessed.
Yeah. Do you think it was real? Do you think, I mean, you said too, like if Juliana was channeling, how does this like person out of nowhere just able to channel a spirit from the dead? And like, and by the way, I don't think that works like that, honestly. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they gave no context in the documentary stating that she had done prior channeling, which is, I guess, what was really confusing to me. Because I do feel that we do all have gifts, and when we utilize them or when we, heal and we go through that whole experience, we can do the thing, But there was no inclination. I feel like you can't just pull that out of anywhere.
Well, once again, though, if you're going back to like the Christ thing, what did you call it? Baptism? Like in the first, you said it was like, but that was similar, which is Teal touches Juliana and that's when she starts to channel. So once again, all of these amazing things are coming through Teal's hands, right? She is God. Like, she is God.
Oh my gosh. You know what I remember? We should go. I'm going to go back and watch it to confirm.
I can't.
But I'm pretty sure that the reason why she had Juliana channel was because Teal touched her on the shoulder. meaning she cleansed herself, touched Juliana, and then Juliana had the gift.
Really? If that's how that works, man, I'd be seeing dead people left and right.
No?
Yeah, I was.
Jesus, apparently.
If that's the case, then if Teal could come over and touch all of my trees in my backyard to make money start growing off them, I would really appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like,
please. So dark, so bad.
This docu-series has caused me trauma that I have to unheal from.
Honestly, yeah, watching Teal caused me some trauma, okay? And I end quote that, boo, you come, all right? You'll be fine.
I can't.
Just go to therapy. Please, Teal, go to therapy.
Another thing, though, seriously, though, is like, and, like, Kat and I are laughing because we've been through shadow work. And, like, so, well, I think being in paranormal, you already have, like, a dark personality, right? Like, you already have, like, you find humor in, like, darkness. I have dark humor. But I really especially think that shadow work causes dark humor because you've healed past all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you're not a perfect person. You're never going to be whole again. But that stuff's not weighing you down anymore. And one thing I noticed with Teal for the 2 episodes is she hardly smiles. She hardly laughs. She doesn't make jokes. And to me, she is still carrying trauma. If you're that, there's even like a scene at the end where she's in the pool and it looks like it should be like this enjoyable space. Like she's in a swimming suit, like she has a killer body. She's drinking like wine in the pool. Like you should be like, Kat and I'd be like freaking living it up, like probably drunk, spilling wine all over, laughing, screaming, having fun. And she has no emotion. And I'm just like, she is such a broken human.
The biggest indicator for me with Teal is her eyes. There's nothing going on here. Mm-hmm. And to me, that just indicates just trauma or a semblance of escaping her reality.
Yeah.
In giving
checking
parts
out
of herself to others.
Yeah.
She's just gonzo. Even when she's not talking to people, and maybe she is still going through some stuff because we all have to go through healing no matter how much she says she's not, or, she is Jesus. She's Jesus reincarnated.
Nikita said, I'm still opting out for this one, but I applaud y'all for taking one for the team.
And we got 2 more episodes to go, okay?
We're not
I don't know if I'm going to make it.
And Elfie's still researching. We are not done here, okay? I have the FBI on this case. Like,
we're still getting articles, okay? Thank you, Elfie.
Yeah, I know Elfie. We love it, by the way. Like, Elfie's so good. Like, when she gets on a rabbit hole with something, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's going to find out her social. I'm going to get her address next week. It's going to be fine,
Send her some therapy packets here. BetterHelp, please.
Okay, I'm going through the notes again here. We're still not done either. It's like so bad.
My computer died.
Did it? It's okay. I have it, so if it's fine.
Great.
Let's see. I'm just reading through this. Oh, she says that another thing she added when Amir was like proposing her for sex. She said, quote, I hate the spiritual field because of sexual demons. I was like, mood, same, mood, 100%. Yeah.
Dude, at this point.
So in other words, she's not holding him accountable for being a pervert. She's saying that he has sexual demons. Don't give him that excuse. He's a perv. Kick him out. Get rid of him. You don't need that energy around you. God.
Yeah, no. Dark.
Okay, now, so Juliana's I gotta pass through all this because this was just very traumatizing.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Stay tuned for our next section about, no, I'm just kidding.
Literally.
Okay, then they start investigating. So this is when they introduce a paranormal team from Washington. Holler paranormal team. We love our para investigators. there's an ex-employee that is now being interviewed, and this is when they also bring in a private investigator. So they've hired private investigators to investigate Teal Swan and basically see if they can find out if she can be held accountable for these follower suicides. Okay, this ex-employee comes on the screen, and he used to work for Teal Swan. He lived with her for 7 years. He used to do her website, and he said that he was not getting paid, so he didn't get like salary for working there, but he did get free room and board. So he got to live with her for free. He had a room. He was probably fed, and he was taken care of. Once again, no salary is very culty. That means that she gets these people to live with her, and they can't escape. They work for her for free. They live with her for free. And now if they ever want to leave, they have no money. That's Scientology, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's a whole nother show. I'm not even going to get into that. You know, go to Leah Remini for that.
I've sung in some Scientology churches, and I have some stories, okay?
Some strange. So anyway, this guy's this webmaster, and he says he's been working for her, living with her for 7 years, and he's like, I needed money, and he had to go get a job. He had no choice. And he basically, it sounds like he may have called like friends or family and got out, you know what I mean? And she was pissed. She was pissed he was leaving. Well, one, she's losing free help, so that's going to make her mad. And two, she has had this person in her inner circle for 7 years now. He's leaving. She sees it as dangerous because she doesn't probably want him to expose the truth outside of the compound, right? So they're interviewing this guy, and he says, I wasn't getting paid after years of work. Teal, when he left, he said, I tried to do it kosher. He's like, I tried to just be nice and be like, no, I just need money. Like, it's just, you know, my life has changed. I'm moving on. Teal told him to go kill himself because his life was ruined by leaving them, and he wouldn't amount to anything. And apparently she tells anybody that quits her from her inner circle, she tells them to go kill themselves, that they should go kill themselves.
She's a major gaslighter. Narcissist.
I mean, well, yeah, that's a narcissist. But that's just like, if you're trying to save the planet like you claim you are and like elevate the planet through spiritualism, that doesn't sound like a very holy thing to be saying from a spiritual, person.
Not at all. Not at all.
And the guy looked like he was going to cry about it. Like, I think he thoroughly enjoyed being a part of that, and just life happened and he had to leave. And I think that he was really hurt by that. Like, didn't it look like that to you?
It did, because he was so deep into it.
Yeah.
Pretty sure one of his last statements after he finished his interview with the PI was that he admitted to telling Teal verbatim that he would easily kill someone for her and bury them in the ground.
In the backyard.
In the backyard.
Yeah. And he was smiling when he said that. So
yeah. And he was coming out of it, and you could see in his face, like, he couldn't believe that that's what he said now that he's on the outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this warped reality in her community/home.
Well, and then the PI is like, do you think it's a cult? And he's like, yeah, it's a cult because she gets to control you with money, and no one can leave once you get in. It's very strange dynamic. Very strange.
It's mental.
Yeah, it is.
Messed up, dude.
Dude.
So dark.
So now this is where we took another hard right turn. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of right turns in this. We're finally getting to the end of this here. So Blake, which, remember, this is her like polygamy boyfriend that's lived with her for 14 years, but they're not together. And like, I don't know what's going on, but he is bringing in Juliana. Obviously, like, they're together. And he goes into Teal's bedroom. This is like a new scene, right? And Teal's sitting on the bed, and she's like laying down on her bed. And like, once again, they're supposed to be not romantically involved. And he's like rubbing her thigh, and he's like rubbing her feet, and he's like rubbing her. And I'm like, yeah. I don't believe you. Okay. Like, I don't believe that you guys aren't like intimate because, it's fine. And so anyway, he went in to tell Teal that he's going to be proposing to this girl as he's like rubbing Teal's thighs. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. I just hope that your new girl knows that you're like hitting both sides of it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, your mic cut out. What'd you say?
I said she does now.
Now she does, yeah. So, so Blake's like, yeah, I think I'm done being like non-commitment. Like I'm ready to commit to her. And Teal's like, oh my God, like tell me what you're feeling. Like tell me more. And he's like, I think I'm gonna propose to Juliana. And she's like, oh my God, like can I be involved? Like can I help you pick out the ring? And which is just weird because like I see them as sister and brother, but also like romantic. It's very strange. Don't you?
Game of Thrones. My begin.
No,
thank you.
And so then he's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna propose. Like I think I want to be with her. Like I'm done with this whole like single lifestyle. And then Teal goes, do you think she like is okay with you? Like, or does she know about like the sexual feelings you still have about me? And like, are you ready to like end your sexual thoughts about me?
And of course you want him to say no because she likes that. And
I'm like, let him have a moment. He's like talking about being engaged to this girl. Like, let him be happy. Like, not about you, And he's like rubbing her leg and he's like massaging her. He's like, yeah, I'm ready to give it up, but like I still think you're sexy as hell. And I'm like, what's going on here? Can someone tell me what's going on? I don't know.
There's just a whole lot of wrong happening and it's just not right. It's not right.
So basically, he comes in and says that he wants to get engaged and married to this girl. In the meantime, Teal is jealous and wants to make it about her. Okay. Yep. All right. Strange situation. She has to be the center of everything. She is Jesus Christ in the flesh. So anyway, he's like, yeah, I think you're sexy as hell. And they're both like laughing and snorting together. I totally think they're still banging each other, honest to God. Like, I don't think that's going to stop.
No. Yeah, no, that's happening. That's definitely happening. That's a thing. Juliana. I just, the whole thing's effed up, man. The whole thing is just dark and just wrong.
Dark.
10 out of 10, do not recommend doing.
And the worst part is that she's giving advice to other people and she has millions of followers. That's terrifying to me. Holy shit.
Sick, yo. It's just sick.
So then we cut to, it looked like a petition spell. Did you notice that? There was a petition spell. They go out, which is, okay, it pisses me off, honestly, because, like, I don't practice witchcraft or the craft. I have before. Kat practices actively. Elfie practices currently. And Teal's literally practicing witchcraft. All of her beliefs are, like, pagan witchcraft, and she's hiding it behind saying she's a spiritual leader. And I don't like that. It's like she's ashamed to say that she's a witch.
Yeah.
That was a petition spell. So what petition spell is, you take a piece of paper like this, you write down something you're releasing to the universe, right? Like, I'm releasing all of my troubles. I'm releasing this bad relationship. I'm releasing gas from eating too much Chipotle. And I'm releasing it to the freaking universe. And you write it on a petition spell. Cat, I'm dead. You fold it up into a little tiny piece of paper and you throw it in the fire and you say, so mote it be, or whatever you want to say, right? So she's doing a petition spell at the end with Juliana, and then they take like herbs, which Elfie probably knows what it was, but like they like blew herbs and like made a wish or some shit. That's witchcraft, bro. Am I wrong?
You're gonna sit here and tell me that I'm wrong?
I'm annoyed because it's like
it's just witchcraft.
If you're a witch, just say it. Why are you? And you know what? To me, that's poo-pooing the witchcraft community. Am I wrong?
Yeah, she's the Wicked Witch of the East, bro. Literally, like
she's a witch. She's a witch in the closet. Like I don't even know what's going on.
God.
So anyway, I just wanted to point out that was very much a petition spell, and she's blowing some ash into the air. I don't even know what's going on, and then
she's blowing something in there. I don't know, ayahuasca.
Oh shit! It's a really good place to end. We're laughing, thank God. It's like trauma. So now Blake and Juliana get married. and they're at this wedding ceremony, and like it's interesting because they keep catching Teal, like, and it's weird the way they had him placed, because you have Blake and then Juliana, and then Teal's behind Juliana, and to me it almost looked like he was watching Teal as he was getting married to Juliana.
As he was.
I know.
Dark, dude. She's sick.
Which, if they're polygamy, polygamy, whatever, just...
But they're not.
But fly that flag.
Not.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to promote that, you fly that flag. You're going to get a bunch of people that support that. You know, fly your flag with F buckets everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But they're not.
Teal thrives off of creating chaos because that's all she's ever known.
I know.
It's a repeated pattern, not an excuse. But it's like,
it's trauma.
Don't sit here and do that. Don't sit here and try to charge that people $5,000 when you don't even have your own shit together.
Yeah, I know.
Figure it out.
I know. Oh, I know.
Check yourself.
Oh, it gets worse.
You know?
It gets worse. So the way that this ended was the PI is still doing like investigative work on Teal. The PI has found past employees of Teal of like NDAs and weird stuff that rules apparently that the community has to abide by. And they asked the PI, so what do you think of the rules that the community has to abide by? Now, this is people that live within the community, right? So not like followers, people like live in the community. And the PI says, everything she makes everyone live by is highly illegal. So I'm interested to see what that list is. And apparently like the NDAs are illegal too. I don't know. That's in the next episode, so I haven't seen it. I know legality very easy. Like even when I have people sign NDAs, they're very basic. So I'm interested in hearing what someone says that it's elite. What is she putting in it? Like there must be threats or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah. And then, let's see. Okay. So then they're at the end, and they're kind of bouncing back to not Juliana. Teal is sort of, it looks like brainstorming new ideas with her manager to come up with more ways of getting money. And, like they still need money. And because she's claiming that now that her, YouTube platform's been called a cult, that it's like affected them financially. And she has this community of people that she has to take care of financially, and she doesn't know how she's going to do it. Right. And I'm like, oh man, red flags all over the place. So her manager was a tennis manager for tennis players, like famous tennis players in Europe. He dropped all of his tennis players to come be with Teal and be her manager. I bet you she pays him a lot of money. Like, 100%. Like if anybody makes money out of that group, it's him. He makes a lot of money. So basically what he's doing, which is really interesting, which is why I think you guys should watch the documentary, is he is noting and tracking other spiritual influencers. And he has goals to push Teal, her social media numbers, past these other spiritual influencers and religious leaders. And like she's like literally comparing herself to like the Pope and the Dalai Lama, and that she wants to get more followers than them, and like she's going to change the planet, and it's in a very dark way, in my opinion. It's very dark. And so then she's coming up with more ideas to do these suicide. What does she call those? Where you like think of your suicide. What does she call that again? The completion process or something? Yeah,
it's the completion process.
I don't know.
Completion cycle.
It's called,
then you'll reincarnate.
It's called Get Some Actual Jesus is what it's called. But she's talking about, I'm just going to say it. Teal says she's going to force these people that come to her camps to do this mental suicide attempt where you're mentally in your head committing suicide to be reborn. And everybody is like shaking their head. Yes. Like, yep, we all agree. So once again, she finds people that just follow her, right? Like this is her managers, her social media managers, her personal assistant. Like everybody's like, yeah, I agree. Like, let's get these followers to come in and like have this like mental suicide. And then Juliana, which is the new wife of Blake, she steps in, which I commend her. And this is how the second episode ends. Juliana looks at Teal and says, you can't force everyone to want to kill themselves. Like you can't force them to want to do that. And Teal looks at her and she's like, this is where we have a problem. She goes, You are bucking me, you are bucking authority, and now we have a problem. Now we have a problem because you are going against what I say. So basically what she says is God. And she goes, and now we have a problem. And all of a sudden the documentary ends. And I was like,
she's sicko, man. She needs some help.
Which I agree with Juliana. Like, if people are paying money to come to these camps, do it. Go, like, do what you want to do. You want to go do ayahuasca? Like, just make sure you don't get diarrhea, Like, take a Tums in an adult diaper. Like, have a backup. If you go to this spiritual encampment, you want to, have a death experience, fine. If you don't, then don't. If you go to an ayahuasca ceremony, you don't want to drink it, then don't drink. Like, you are allowed to put up boundaries. That's shadow work. Like, you are allowed to say no. And Teal's basically saying, like, no, everyone's going to go. If you come to my, you're going to come to my encampment and I'm going to help you commit suicide mentally. What is wrong here?
Dark.
And now she's literally had followers that have committed suicide, and their families want Teal to be held accountable because a lot of these followers have left like journals where they've watched Teal and journaled about Teal and journaled about the death experience, where they decided in the journals, like, oh, well, Teal says that, like, if I kill myself, I just get reincarnated and I come right back in. Do you think it's that easy? I mean, I do believe we reincarnate. However, my belief is you have to come here to finish what your purpose was, or you're going to have to come back and do it again. And my opinion is I don't want to come back. So I'm going to finish it while I'm here, okay? Because I don't like this planet. It's a very low vibrational, floating rock out in the middle of nowhere. And I don't want to come back. So I'm going to finish what I need to do. I don't want to reincarnate. Like, who would want to come back here?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. I don't, you have a spinoff for a minute. I'm sorry. I'm just repulsed.
No, it's okay. I just don't think that suicide should be mentioned at all.
Yeah.
In her, discussions. And I think that having a discussion about what the heck?
What?
That's an alarm outside of.
Oh, is it?
I don't know what's happening.
For some reason, I thought you got a nosebleed and I panicked for some reason. I was like, stigmata.
No, I went to go, like, no. I was like, that was weird. No, she, I just don't think that she should be mentioning suicide at all.
Me neither. Like, I've been
having a discussion. I think having a discussion about, the reincarnation is one thing, but don't tie it in with suicide.
I know, but I have to, Elfie's texting us. I have to see what she might have found another article. She's making an ayahuasca joke. Ayahuasca, take a Tums in a diaper, small print. I guess, I've been on a spiritual path for a long time, and, I'm going to say it, there's nothing that anybody says is God, and, there's things that spiritualists have said that just don't resonate with me, I think there's stuff that Kat and I probably talk about that don't resonate with you guys. We're really into, the starseed stuff, and the, alien stuff, and, the Lyrans, and the Andromanians, and, Arcturians. Some people might think we're crazy for talking about that stuff, so you don't have to believe that. Take what resonates with you. But one thing that I've never ever seen with studying spirituality, where I have learned stuff and I've taken it with me, some things resonate, some things don't, I leave it behind. I've never heard someone talk about suicide so much. My question is what's Teal's obsession with suicide? She has based all of her stuff around a death, and I hate to say it, it's from the trauma she experienced from being molested, and it's so dark. Why does everyone, what she did experience is horrible. It's probably one of the worst things you could experience on this planet, being a child, an innocent child, being chained up, being abducted, being molested over and over again by an adult. That's horrible. It's horrible. But why does everyone have to experience the suicide trauma that you say helped you? I don't think that's
because she's dark.
That's like saying for mental health, if one antipsychotic works for, schizophrenia, everybody has to take this antipsychotic. It works for everybody. That's not how it works. You can't just take one pill for you know what I mean?
It's not a one size fit all. You know what I mean? And that's what I was saying earlier was she can't just force her opinions and what worked for her, which is really messed up, by the way. And, force that on other people. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. That's not right. It's ethically wrong.
It is.
Wrong.
Well, and I can see how, like I said, I've been in dark places before. Not gonna lie. I mean, and I hope people out there can relate to that. And I'm glad you're still alive if you've had a dark place like I have, and I'm happy I'm still alive as well. And I'm gonna keep fighting this, and we'll fight it together. You're not alone. I've had dark moments, especially over the last 6 months with losing my mom. But there were darker moments the closer, back in January, I was in some tough places to the point where Kat flew out there. Kat flew out to Vegas because she was concerned I was suicidal. So she came out and stayed for 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. And we ended up filming, but it's fine.
We did.
But my point is if Kat would have come out at that time, rather than being a supportive person like she is, and said, you're not going to kill yourself. You're not alone. You're going to be okay. If she would have done the opposite, like Teal's doing, saying, oh, why don't you just kill yourself? At that time, I was in such a bad place, I probably would have.
It's so bad.
And that's where and that's where it freaks me out, because when you think about it, with Teal, she is playing God. She has that much control over people that they're willing to take their life. So she needs to change her narrative.
She knows it. She knows it.
Mm-hmm.
She knows it.
Mm-hmm. I know.
There's two sides to every story, and then there's a truth, and she's got to go to bed every night looking at herself in the mirror, knowing that truth.
And she's
There's
currently
no way she
sitting
doesn't.
in her karma right now, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that I do think she is very connected to her guides and ascended beings, as anyone in paranormal is. And I also think that if you've been given gifts like she has, a voice and a narrative to be spreading what should be positive awareness with spiritualism and shadow work and inner child work, she's turned it into something really, really dark. And I think that your ascended masters, whatever you believe in, whether that's God, whether that's your ancestors, whether that's your spirit guides, I think that if you're using your power for bad, they can take it away and slap it out of your hands just as easily as they can give it to you.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
And whatever is happening right now and she's being investigated, this is due to the darkness that, this planet's already a dark place. She knows that, and she's putting more darkness in, and it's just not good, Okay.
Nope.
Anyway, now let's talk about our last section, which is Elfie being our private investigator. So apparently there was a therapist who has been accused of creating false memories during the satanic panic era, which was 70s, 80s, right? I think.
Yep.
And they think that, so this therapist is a cray-cray person, okay? So this person is a manipulator too, right? Narcissist, gaslighter, probably for her own benefit. Anyway, they think that this person is Teal Swan's therapist. So this might be a person that's sort of helping make Teal into the deceptive person that she is.
Oh, I believe it.
And this therapist was actually under investigation, and I think she had her license revoked.
She did. She did. It's crazy.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
There's a lot of crazy people out there. A lot of not good people out there.
So anyway, I don't know, man. I just know that
it's dark.
I'm tired. It's I'm really tired.
Same.
I'm reading through. Elfie has she's got notes for her notes right now. Okay,
I know.
She's I think that we're gonna do a follow up. I'm reading through this other article that she sent me. I think we're gonna do a follow up stream on this too, though. Kat and I, in a couple of weeks after the next 2 episodes air.
Yeah.
I know that you guys don't want to see it, some of you, but it really is interesting. Once again, if you're into crime, crime talk, crime TikTok, or real crime, or if you're into cult talk and cults and understanding them, the reason I find this so fascinating, because it's unfolding in front of our eyes in real time. And I don't think that you get to do that very often. You know what I mean? So now this is all over. I find Teal to be very controlling. I find her to be the ringleader of the circus. I think that she actually does think she's going to be bigger than the Pope, which is very strange and concerning. And yeah. yikes. I hope that Blake can at least make it out alive, because I think he's a very innocent soul. And I think that he's just a very weak man. And I don't know. This will be interesting to see how the next few episodes unfold, because now they've really introduced the private investigator, and there's like some major conflict going on. So especially with Juliana. So I wonder if they're going to kick Juliana out. You know what I mean?
Hope she talks out next if she does.
Uh-huh.
She seems to have more cojones than Blake.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like she likes to get people involved, and Teal likes to control people, and Juliana, the new wife, seems to be like, no, you're not going to control me. I'm still going to have an opinion. And Teal's like, oh, no, you're not.
Know, for Teal, for someone that's preaching truth, she really doesn't like it. Period.
She does not want to be called out for anything. She doesn't want to be wrong.
She doesn't like truth.
She doesn't want to. She doesn't. Yeah, she's like in the beginning, she says, someone said, the guy goes, you know, like, who's your spiritual leader? Who do you look up to? She's like, as if someone's above me. Can you imagine if the Pope said that publicly, what would happen?
Well, she's viewing it as weakness, meaning that if she looks up to somebody, then that means she's lower than.
Yikes.
But that's issues. You got some issues you got to sort out.
She has released some statements that Elfie and I found, and essentially Teal's saying that don't take everything away from the documentary, like take it as a grain of salt. They are trying to make her appear a certain way, and she's not. And I'm like, girl, you're the one that said all this stuff. All this stuff came from your mouth, boo-boo. Like, this isn't a he said, she said. You were filmed on camera saying this stuff. So,
that
like,
was spliced. You know? Yeah.
But you know, narcissism, gotta blame everybody else. It's not me. You know, I just think the thing that scares me is to be out here claiming to be a spiritualist and a healer. And once again, I do think she has some good ideologies. I will say that. But for somebody who's trying to help people, I think that it's also extremely damaging. And at the end of the day, I think she started out with good intent. They actually sit down and ask her about cults. They ask Teal about cults. And she says this too out of her mouth. Once again, you can see it in the documentary. She says, I don't think cult leaders start out with an intention to be cult leaders. She goes, it just happens when their following, you know, worships them. And I think she was talking about herself.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
And I believe that's how it started. I think she was a young kid, damaged, started a YouTube channel. That's what I think. And because they showed some old videos, she was very young. She's like in her early 20s, 19, probably right after she escaped. I think she was a young kid. She started this YouTube channel, didn't expect it to take off like it did. And now she's like, okay, I have to take full advantage of this. How can I make money at it? Which at the end of the day, there are no free lunches. We all have to pay rent over our heads. So yes, there's a way that she could probably turn this into a positive and still make money off of it and be able to support her quote community. But what she's doing right now, I think, is deceptive. And the suicide thing is so, it's, to me, crossing suicide, like having pictures of suicide with spiritualism, like, is just doesn't make sense to me. That just doesn't, and I've, you know what I mean? Like, I've even studied like dark magic, black magic, and it's, there's still not suicide talked about with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's so like dangerous to get these weak, once again, she's finding these weak people that are in very weak emotional states, that are extremely damaged people that feel lost, and they need to find like a hub or a home, and they find that within her. And so she teaches them all about this spiritualism, and like, this is how you can change your life, and like, you heal your inner child and you heal yourself. Oh, and by the way, like, to complete the process, you're gonna have to like create like a mental suicide and like actually like mentally put yourself in a state of like what it would feel like to kill yourself. And that's what we saw in the beginning of the first documentaries, this girl like convulsing in the water, and did not look healthy to me.
No.
And like, what's wrong with her to want to experience that with somebody? Why would you want to see someone who's had trauma, whatever the degree is? Why would you want to see them floating in a pool trying to like experience suicide? What you have to be a dark mofo to want to see and experience the energy of someone committing a suicide in their mind. What's wrong with you, yo? That's like some dark shit.
Power.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
bad.
Jesus, take the
Yeah,
wheel.
I'm curious what the other 2 episodes are going to be, and looking forward to chatting about that.
Well, anyway, that's the tea. That was some
Good.
tea. That was some paranormal tea. I just felt like it was my duty to talk about it after she supposedly channeled, you know, a dead mom, and that really pissed me off. Like, that was where I got really set. That was where I was like,
Yeah,
and channeling
rightfully
through
so.
some random person, like, it's just not how it works, honey. Okay?
With zero context as to who this person is, actually, you know, like, or if they are,
Dude,
you
I
know,
don't
it's
even
weird.
know. She was like rocking around in a circle. I was like waiting for her to like fart on the wood floor. You know what I mean? Because you could hear it like creaking. I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, what? You're right. There was no context behind it. What's going on? Strange.
Yeah,
Very
clear.
strange.
Wasn't clear.
So anyway, hopefully we can save some people by bringing this to light. And you know, Hulu, this was an amazing documentary, honestly, in my opinion. Can't wait to see the next 2 episodes. Next week with Elfie, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know. I'm going to have to see what she wants to research.
Good question.
I know. I was supposed to send out an email and I didn't. It's fine.
It's okay.
And,
you know, life.
Yeah, it's fine. And actually, you know what? Friday, guys, I think I'm going to take off next week because if that's okay with Elfie, Thursday is my surgery, and if that's okay with, I know that I haven't wanted to take breaks, but I think next Friday I'll probably take off. I don't know how I'm going to feel.
Take care of you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You.
Yeah, I don't want to like come on here and be all, you know what I'm saying? So next week, let's skip it since I have this surgery, and then I'll see you guys. What's the date on the next one so that I can give that out? Let me look it up.
Let's see. It will be the 11th. Wait, the 10th.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's midnight here.
Yeah, so
June the next day.
So June 3rd, I'm going to take off because of surgery, and we'll be back June 10th. That'll give Elfie an extra couple of weeks, too, to, like, pick a topic or whatever. And, it was a good chat. Thanks for everybody for downloading our podcast. Our podcast numbers are unbelievable. Like, you guys made me cry that, you know, like, we're having so much success with everything. And, you know, it just makes me feel like I found my place again. I felt lost for a really long time after I lost my mom, and I'm still going through it, but just, you know, thank you guys for just not being my cult community. You know what I mean? Like, but I could make like cult Ghost Girl Diaries shirts.
With a leprechaun foot.
Or like, non-cult with like one stamp of a leprechaun foot, like right on the middle. You know what I mean?
Sick.
GGD cult.
Yo, sick.
Just
you know, I still need to crochet one.
Oh my God.
Crochet a foot.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We had so much fun as always. Maybe by the time we stream again too, we'll do some research on all of the new shows that are coming in that we've missed. We need to catch up on. And thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys download the podcast. This will be uploaded as of tomorrow. It'll also be on the new YouTube channel. And as always, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks, guys. Back from the dead.